The creepiest mystery in the amazing world of Gumball has finally been solved. From Richard creating the Joy virus to the shocking way it spreads, we'll uncover every hidden clue behind the darkest episode
Same
ever.
time. 3, 2, 1. Dude, we were supposed to be doing portraits. Why would you add a scary clown through a window instead of a beautiful...
The Joy. Stay until the end, because the truth I've found will completely change how you see this episode. 1. Mystery. Part 5. Big one. Origins and Richard's involvement. The biggest mystery comes from Richard himself. He delivers the very first wonder hug that infects Gumball and Darwin, yet remains completely immune. Some argue his adult brain shields him, but that theory collapses when other adults like Miss Simeon and Principal Brown succumb instantly. A stronger explanation is that Richard already carries the virus. His endless optimism and near-constant joy make him untouchable. Instead of being controlled by the pathogen, he embodies it. Ironically, his attempt to cheer up his kids only unleashed the infection on the whole school. In typical Richard fashion, his clueless kindness backfires catastrophically, birthing Elmore's creepiest outbreak. 2. Rapid plot recap. The Joy. What happens? The episode begins innocently enough. Gumball and Darwin trudge into the kitchen with miserable Monday faces, only for Richard to fix things with his infamous wonder hug. What looks like harmless affection explodes into a rainbow burst that sets off the chain of events. At school, the brothers become unnaturally cheerful, singing during tests, smiling uncontrollably, and hallucinating teachers as toys. Miss Simeon immediately suspects something is wrong and locks them in quarantine, but the joy spreads like wildfire. Soon, Principal Brown, the nurse, and almost every student are infected, creating a rainbow-colored zombie apocalypse. Simeon briefly discovers a cure through Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, but her plan fails as the song runs out and she's overwhelmed. The episode ends abruptly with Simeon herself consumed by the joy, no rescue, no reset, just an unsettling laugh as darkness falls. 3. Why The Joy is the creepiest. Although the amazing world of Gumball is usually regarded as a lighthearted kids show, The Joy takes a dramatic turn into much darker territory. Instead of its usual slapstick humor and witty satire, the episode plunges into a full-on zombie horror scenario. It borrows heavily from classic apocalypse films and even from the unsettling style of found-footage horror, filling Elmore with a sense of dread that feels completely alien to the show's usual tone. The rainbow-colored infected may look absurd on the surface, yet their eerie smiles, unnatural laughter, and relentless hugs make them genuinely disturbing. What truly elevates the horror, however, are the unanswered questions it leaves behind. How exactly does this strange virus spread? Why does it exist in the first place? And perhaps most chillingly, what happens to the characters after the abrupt ending? These lingering mysteries transform the episode into not just a parody of horror, but one of the most haunting, enigmatic, and unforgettable entries in the entire series. 4. Mystery. Part 2. Why does Moonlight Sonata cure the joy? One of the strangest and most fascinating details in The Joy is the way Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata emerges as the only known cure for the infection. The piece, famous for its slow and melancholic beauty, carries such an overwhelming weight of sadness that it immediately breaks the virus's hold on Principal Brown, reducing him to tears and restoring his sanity. At first glance, this might seem like a throwaway gag, but within the context of the episode, it becomes a chilling metaphor. Only profound sorrow is strong enough to counterbalance an unnatural, artificial happiness. The irony is striking. The entire outbreak began with Gumball's misery over another dull Monday, and yet that same sense of gloom channeled through music is what ultimately holds the key to stopping the spread. Miss Simeon's unusual resilience further supports this idea. While other adults succumb almost instantly, her deep-rooted love for suffering, pessimism, and despair allows her to fight off the joy longer than anyone else. In this way, the episode suggests that sadness, often seen as weakness, can actually provide strength in the face of false or toxic happiness. The cure, then, is not medicine, logic, or science. It is the raw, unfiltered power of sorrow itself. This unsettling inversion reinforces the episode's central theme. Joy without limits, stripped of balance and context, can become every bit as destructive as despair. 5. Mystery. Part 3. What is the joy, nature of the pathogen? At its core, the joy isn't just unrestrained delight, it's something far more unsettling.
Come on, come on, come on! Yes! You gotta be kidding me.
The episode suggests the joy isn't merely an emotion, but rather a sentient pathogen. It maneuvers through hosts with strategic intent, initially presenting as playful hugs, then becoming violently persistent when resisted. Evidence of this sentience surfaces when the infected characters adapt. Gentle affection turns forceful when Miss Simian holds them back. The virus seems to understand and alter its behavior to ensure propagation. Coupled with the surreal rainbow aesthetic and eerie mimicry of a zombie outbreak, the episode implies the joy is more than a joke. It's a calculating, self-aware entity spreading via emotional contagion. 6. Mystery. Part 4. How does it transmit? The episode doesn't just say, "The joy spreads by hugs," it gives a chilling close-up clue. The infected characters have rainbow-colored liquid in their mouths. It's even visibly coughed into a hand by Coach. This detail suggests that the pathogen is not airborne or purely emotional, but transmitted through a physical, bodily fluid, namely that weird rainbow substance. That aligns with typical viral behavior, where transmission often occurs through fluid exchange. It also adds a grotesque twist. What appears as a gentle embrace becomes a vector for a creepy infection. So the hugs aren't just metaphorical carriers of joy, they're literal carriers of a new, bizarre virus. 7. Mystery, Part 1. How was the school cured off-screen, if at all? The most haunting part of The Joy is its unresolved ending. Miss Simian succumbs to the infection, the school collapses into chaos, and then, without any resolution, the episode simply cuts to black. No cure, no rescue, no return to order. This abrupt stop has fueled endless fan theories about how Elmore could ever return to normal. Some speculate that Principal Brown, who briefly regained clarity after hearing the classical music, might have escaped and alerted the authorities. But given his frantic panic and sluggish nature, his very design being inspired by a snail, his chances of outrunning the swarm seem almost non-existent. Others suggest Tobias, with his rainbow-colored body, possessed natural immunity and could have been the unlikely savior. Yet, consistent with his self-absorbed personality, Tobias shows no real motivation to intervene. A more forgiving theory claims the virus was temporary and simply burned itself out, leaving the students to awaken confused but safe. However, there is no evidence within the episode to support such a neat resolution. The explanation that resonates most with fans is rooted in Gumball's own narrative logic, the infamous reset of the universe. Just as in the finale, where reality itself bent to erase catastrophe, the show often wipes the slate clean between episodes. It may be unsatisfying from a storytelling perspective, but it perfectly explains how, despite the apocalyptic imagery, Elmore is back to business as usual the very next day. This unsettling lack of closure is exactly what cements The Joy as one of the most disturbing episodes of the entire series. 8. Mini wrap of findings. By the end, the pieces fall into place. The Joy is best understood as a sentient virus, spread through rainbow liquid during hugs, capable of adapting to survive. Its cure is not science, but the raw power of sadness. Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Richard, immune because of his absurdly cheerful nature, unknowingly became the virus's original vector. And as for how Elmore recovered, the most consistent answer is that reality itself reset, erasing the horror overnight. Still, this episode remains one of the darkest and most unsettling mysteries in the Gumball universe. And that's how The Joy reveals a terrifying side of Gumball that many missed. Some answers remain mysterious, but we've uncovered more than ever before. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more theories and hidden secrets from Elmore, don't forget to hit subscribe and join me for the next deep dive.